Hey guys, I missed you, and welcome back to another episode. And yeah, it's really great, being able to spend time with you guys every now and then. Especially, lately, I've been kind of like, not to sound too, depressed or anything like that. I always hate to be the one to really make a whole big deal about, where I'm at per se in all this, but like everybody they have their struggles, and I'd say the biggest struggle that I'm going through right now is just trying to. I want to be the best possible version of myself, and trying to take improve on everything. Um, like it's hard because like nobody knows you better than you, right? Like you hope that maybe you might find somebody in your life who follows along those same the same understanding of who you are, but it can be quite difficult at times, especially when maybe you're the kind of person who has been very internal about your struggles or issues or whatnot. Like that's kind of how I've been the majority of my life. Not to be a bummer, guys. I'm sorry if it feels like it's like too many deep episodes consecutively, but it's just kind of like it's kind of what's the term? It's kind of not like a therapeutic type of thing or a catharsis. Being able to just take a deep breath and have these episodes where I can just like it just kind of like think out loud, basically. And today I'm asking you guys, as much as like I want to do better. That doing better starts with actual craving like actual meaningful, lasting change in your life. I think we can all agree to that, but the question I must inquire about is, well, where does change begin? Is change, something that you have to mentally decide upon, or is it something that you need to change, like on a deeper level, like in your heart or something like that? Where would you say that change begins? Because I think it's safe to say that it can start in a variety of different places, but then the question just kind of becomes like at the end of it all, where can it start that it has the most lasting effect? Perhaps that might be the best way to put it. If I change, if I start with the head, right? Like you just try to change your head, the way you think. Okay, will that penetrate deep into your soul and like change that? It's hard to really say because you take into consideration what you think and what you feel are two entirely different vibes at times. Sometimes you're just like you might think that you have it all figured out, but then all of a sudden you just feel a whole different way. Like to get your brain to entirely understand the inner workings of your heart, it's very unlikely that'll ever be the case because how can you explain feelings with finite words? Like how can you say that how do you explain feeling a specific way? And I think it's safe to say that you just really can't explain feelings. Feelings make no sense. Feelings are, you're having a perfectly fine day and all of a sudden you see a sign on the side of the road, or you see somebody doing something, or somebody says a line or something like that, and all of a sudden you're just like taking into a whole different situation. It's just like it goes from I got this to I really don't have this. Like you can feel that your entire life unravels right before your eyes when you have to words. You can feel or see your whole life unravel right before your eyes simply off of a thought, just one fleeting concept in your head, and you think about it for more than a couple seconds, and then all of a sudden you're just like, you're in a whole different zone and you don't know how to feel about it. Like, you're just kind of like lost. And if you're like me, somebody who historically tries to be a very pragmatic or reasonable person, it can be exceptionally difficult to fully comprehend your emotions. Like, how do I explain if I see a child crying, or more specifically, when I watch movies and they have a parent who is going through the loss of a child, I feel myself. I've never lost a child, thank God. But the idea of losing a child just it like cuts in such a deep way, and it's just like, why is it that, like, I see that in a movie or TV show or whatnot, and all of a sudden I'm just like, I can't explain how I feel with words. Like, my thought process does not. I can't come up with a word that describes a feeling. That's I think one of the craziest things about emotions is trying to find a word that describes a feeling can be so difficult, because like, feelings can be absurdly complex, more so than they actually need to be. And you're just kind of like sitting there like, I don't know what the word for this. Like I feel like it's on like a much grander scale than like when you see people who like English isn't their native language and they're trying to like describe a word, and like sometimes that word literally is like, what are we going with? Like, sometimes that word literally is like to describe a feeling, and it is like impossible to really describe it. Like, you see them and they do the little thing where they're like, they touch like their first two fingers to their thumb because they're like, it is the feeling of, and then like they're trying to explain it, and it just can't come out, and it's just impossible to really grasp these things. And I don't know. I feel like I've lost the plot a little bit. Forgive me, guys. It happens from time to time, but I guess what it was I was trying to talk about like how you try to process, like, does change start in your soul, like in your heart, or does it start in your brain? And maybe, if we're extra crazy, maybe change starts somewhere just in your body, like your actual physical body. Maybe to actually find real change in your life, it's just something that's like, oh yeah, it's like a hunger in your belly to do better. I don't know. Perhaps, maybe. I don't know. But you guys, let me know what you think, because it's just kind of crazy. Like, just all the different like concepts are taken into consideration. If it starts in your brain, then like simply like all I have to do is just mentally want, like all I have to do is think that I want to change, and then I will find change, right? Because if it starts in the head, then all I have to do is think it first, because that's where your thoughts come from, so you're in your brain. And as long as I think it, then it shall be done, right? But what if it's something more complex than that? What if it's not about what I think? What if it's something that I have to feel? What if it starts in your heart, right? Well, then I would then need to have like it would then need to like start like in my heart. Yeah, exactly that. It has to start in my heart, where I have to feel like I want this change in my heart, and go about the means of trying to achieve that internally. My pockets are full. That's something else. And so I need to feel. Like, if it's not in my brain, then I don't have to think I want change. If it's in my heart, then I have to feel that I want change, right? And I'm forgive me for stuttering here and there. I'm still mentally trying to grasp what I'm saying as a word, all these things. It's crazy to try to, figure these things out. And it can be hard. And to the person out there who's just like, oh yeah, I got to figure it out. It's like, I'm so jealous of you, because life is just life. The hardest part of life is just trying to cope with existence. Maybe that might sound like some sort of beyond the pale type of thought process, but for me, it's just this crazy concept of trying to understand it all at the same time. I don't know, but the reason I bring it up, it's just I've been going through a lot lately internally, and I'm still trying to release, the internal concept of creativity, if you will. Still trying to go along with this project and take care of you guys and let you in. But I feel like the more I do so, the more my heart becomes like an open door, and not going to lie, I'm a little bit fearful about what people might see inside. Not that I feel like I have any type of moral qualms or whatnot. It's just the sensitive parts that are inside of you. Sometimes the reason why you keep them inside is because you want to protect them. Even the Bible says that you have to guard your heart, because it's it's very important part of you. It's like your heart is like the truest part of who you actually are, and it can be difficult to try to protect yourself at times, especially when we're talking about vulnerability. It's super hard to keep yourself protected when we're talking about vulnerabilities, because it's just like you're in a position where you're trying to be open, try to have a deep, meaningful type of communication with somebody, and you're trusting that they're not going to betray your sense of vulnerability. I guess it's just the word right there. And I spent a lot of my youth struggling with, well, not so much my youth. I love my parents, namely because they're my parents, but I do fear that a fact of the matter is that they could have been better parents at times. They could have been more aware of me, who I am, and what I'm going through. And I don't hold that against them. But when it comes to trying to explain how I feel and process things, I feel like that's one of the first places you have to start, is that I have this struggle with all that. I have to struggle with just this idea of feeling like I've always had to take care of business myself, because I was a very sensitive younger child, and when I say sensitive younger child, I mean I would cry at the drop of a hat. I was riding a dirt bike one time and I hit a butterfly, similar to that paper kite. I fell in the river somehow. Wow. Yeah, I hit it with a dirt bike, and I cried and I cried and I cried, because even though it's probably not even going to live for another week, I ruined the rest of its short life. And it was just but that was just me as a whole. One of the things that habits that I developed to cope with my sensitivity was to look up. And it's not one of those oh yeah, keep your chin up sport. Is more of a, I would get picked on by other kids for my something would happen that you completely have no reason to cry about, and I would start to cry, and the other kids, they can be cruel, but ultimately they're honest, would notice it, and then they would start to heckle me, and then when you're already about to cry, and then all of a sudden everybody like notices that you're about to cry, so they start picking on you because you're about to cry because you're a big old crybaby. Then it gets even harder to not cry. So I would do this thing where I'd like look up, like just straight up, in hopes that maybe the tears like would not be able to physically come out of my face because like gravity. Oh, I did not mean to click yes for that one. We'll have to skip through this real quick. But that was something that I struggled with, and so like I didn't really have like a parent who really like told me like I wasn't a young boy with a father, and the father taught me how to be a little bit more hardened or tough. No, it was just Atlas, little Atlas doing his thing, and basically what happened was like when I was younger, I got picked on a lot, and then when I got towards my teenage years, there was still a few stragglers who still picked on me, but for the most part, people just left me alone, and because I was so done with everybody else, I just left them alone too. I just kind of became like an introvert at that point in time. My best friends were just people online. It was nothing too special. But then I would become a young adult, and I would oh cool, get some coffee to go. But basically, it was just through failed relationships. I'd say like failed relationships with my parents, and then with um, women who I had dated, and just a lot of friends in general. I just became a little bit more callous, which it's so strange how like the less you care, the more people want to be around you, type of thing. And so I started getting to a point where like it was so much easier to, you can't see this, but I'm doing air quotes, make friends when you don't care about having friends anymore. And that carried me through a lot of my adult years until eventually I met my wife. And, it really changed a whole lot being with her. And the hard part is trying to shake that mindset of being, oh yeah, Mr. Tough Guy that, isn't bothered by anything. You have to be a little bit more vulnerable when you decide to have like share your life with somebody. And it's been an ongoing struggle for me, trying to figure out how to properly express my emotions. Like I'm like everybody else. I want to be heard. I want to be seen. I want to be, um, understood. But at the same time, I don't really know how to project that, and that's kind of where the whole thing of today comes from. Is like, like where does change start? Basically, what I'm asking is like, that's what I want to be. I want to be somebody who is much more well put together, somebody who, um, I want the kind of change that says I am comfortable with my feelings and my emotions, and I can translate them in a meaningful way to people and be understood and seen and cared for, and not be too extreme in it. Like I don't want to go from the extreme end of being the most callous person in the room to the opposite of reverting back to being the most sensitive person in the room. Hopefully that makes sense for you guys to try to explain like where my moral dilemma comes from in life right now. And I'm hopeful that maybe things will just get better uh, as life changes. Who really knows? But it's tough. It's honestly tough. I know there's a lot of people out there who can understand it too. They're probably sitting down right now going, yeah, I hear you, man, I hear you. It's makes perfect sense. You're not crazy for feeling the way that you feel. I'm like, I know, right? Like that's all I want is to kind of get that out there. Makes sense. These are so bad, these shoes. Let's get some bad socks to go with these real quick. I'm sorry, guys. Off topic, but we're going for a bad look. every day trying to look worse. um, but you know, that's kind of where it is. I just like I'm trying to hold myself accountable for how I feel and how I present myself. But what that ultimately translates to is I, you know, need to like I want to show that like I want to have a healthier relationship with my feelings is the easiest way to word that. I don't want to be somebody who's extremely callous who nobody can talk to because I can't really make a connection to. But I also don't want to be somebody who is extremely basically just an extreme crybaby who people can't talk to because all I do is whine and gripe and moan about every little thing that's going on in my life. So where's the in between, right? That's kind of what we're hoping for. And so, is it a change that has to start in the brain? Is it a change that has to start in the heart? Is it a change that starts both ways, more or less? I don't really know what the answer is. I yearn. I yearn for the change. So hopefully that can, translate to the change occurring at some point in time. But I don't know exactly what the process for that one might be. But if you guys have an answer, if you're hearing my voice and you're thinking to yourself, "Hey, bro, Atlas, I know exactly how you feel," and I got a few, like words of advice, a few tips for you. Please, by all means, like let me know because that's just kind of where it is for me. It's just like I say it out loud, I repeat it to try to get a better grasp on it. Like, how can I express my feelings in such a way that is not off-putting or abrasive or whiny? And I hope that perhaps if I can figure out how to better communicate how I feel, as well as return that understanding to other people, that perhaps that could lead to the type of change in my life for a much better thing. I can ideally be a better husband. That's my primary goal, but also maybe be a better father, be a better brother, be a better son, be a better friend, just be a better person all around that people actually enjoy a bit more. And for you guys, I do hope that it's an evident process that you're seeing, that there is change like occurring, if that makes sense. That you guys can see and say like, yeah. I mean, with every episode that passes, it's more and more evident that you are indeed becoming like a better person at doing these things, because it's like I struggle at wording it sometimes. I don't even know if wording is the word for it, but ideally, it'll all make sense in the long term. Who really knows? But I digress. We're here on a mystery island. We get back on topic for what we're doing. You never know what you're gonna find on these mystery islands. Honestly, they typically have a whole bunch of nothing worthwhile, 9 times out of 10. But sometimes you might find something cool. Like over here, we just have we have cosmos, which aren't native to our island, so that's a different thing. But they just have like cherries and such. So I wouldn't say that this mystery island is particularly impressive, but you never know what you're going to find, so it's always worthwhile to check them out. We do get one Gearoid out of it, and we also get another DIY, which if you're looking to max out your DWs, it's definitely a good take to get one of these. Hey, look, I got a Western style stone. If you don't know what a Western style stone is, it's basically they have the Western style stone, and I don't know if it's called the Eastern style or if it's just like a traditional, I don't know, but they're tombstones, and the Western one is the one that you're more familiar with in, if you're like, well, obviously like from the West, that Anglo mindset. But they're always pretty interesting. I don't think I really need to put a tombstone on this island, but whenever I do, I always like to put them like in like some random spot all by themselves. These pants are so glittery, it's so bad. I will never rush Captain. I don't care if it's an unpopular opinion or decision, but I'll let the Kappa Kappa do his song. Other things to try to find a little bit of change. Man, where did change begin? Where did change end? I looked at some old pictures of me from like 6 years ago, back when I was a lot lighter than I am now. I'm not talking about skin tone. And I need to go back to I need to go back to that version of me. I'm not saying that I have to be like the skinniest person, but there's definitely I felt a better sense of health when I had was a little bit of a smaller guy. Like if I could just get back down to the 200 area, like I don't have to be exactly 200 or even below it, but like I can just get back to the ballpark, like be off. Like if I can lose enough weight that I can look at the scale and say, man, I could get to 200 if I wanted to, that'd be great. But yeah, it can be a little bit rough at times. But hey, let's take a look at the island real quick after we talk to our boy Walker. He has a DIY for us also. Man, he's like the best dog. I know I talk about how like we have the best cat. We also like the best dog right here. I mean, he's the best dog for me. If I actually had to rank all the Animal Crossing dogs, it'd be a lot harder because there's so many good dogs in Animal Crossing. Like if you played Pocket Camp, then like you probably already like have an appreciation for Goldie. But like other good dogs too, like Portia's been a fan favorite since the very first game as well. If you consider the Wolves as dogs, man, that's a stacked field right there. Lucky is also a fan favorite from the very first game as well. They still really make a lot of bad dogs. On my other island, I have Shep, who is another fantastic dog. And it's just, trying to figure out who is by and far like the hands down best dog. Oh man, who really knows? So what we're doing up here is the idea is probably going to be that I'm going to put 2 bridges up here, right? So I might need to move the campsite somewhere else so I can extend this backwards. But basically, we're going to put this river is going to come over. It's going to come this way, and then it's going to create a big V shape that reaches its peak like towards the middle, and then comes down another V shape that heads over to this river, and then there's going to be bridges that go over each side where you're going to have the shop on one side and you're going to have the tailor on the other side to have like a nice look to it. And then the river that goes to the back is going to go to a waterfall that will go up to a 3rd floor where I don't know what we'll put, maybe some houses over there. Also decorate this area with something nice too. I'm not entirely sure what yet. I might extend these bushes over to here. It goes 5 back, so what I could just do is like hedge bush hedge on both sides, and that creates a 5x5 area to work with. We'll figure out what we're going to do with it later on. Something else you could do over here is also do like put a hedge right here, not a hedge, but some sort of a shrub, and then just go like all the way around this way too if I really wanted to, and just like trap that area in there. Not entirely certain yet what we're going to do with everything, but we're working on it. But as we pass up this thing a couple times, that's effectively what this is right here, is the design I was going for. Basically, it just needs to go over like 1 more though, so it'd be like 3 wide. But that wishbone design, this one, it's set up in such a way that in theory, you can put the bridge over here, and there should be enough space between them to do one over here also. So it'll be like a perfectly symmetrical like bridge design that goes to the back, and that's what we're working with. But thank you guys for stopping by, listen to me babble on. It almost feels like, instead of the prattling, it's the babbling. But I'm very grateful to have you guys here, a part of this, even if it's like only a little bit. Having the opportunity for you guys to hear me and listen to me, I'll get out of this funk eventually, and we'll get to a point where we're going to find a lot of really fun times that we're going to spend with each other. I'm grateful every interaction that we have going on. Life can be a bit of a thing at times, guys, and I get it. You guys are going through stuff, and I appreciate that you spend time with me, because I'm 100% aware of that, because I'm going through stuff myself as well. So we'll get through it together, or at least adjacent. I look forward to hearing and seeing and witnessing all the cool things that you guys can overcome, and I hope that you guys will, be following along for the ride too with me, and y'all will also, be able to check it out and all that stuff, and it'll be really, really cool, really fun. But in the meantime, as always, I love you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and God bless. I hope you guys are having a phenomenal week. It's probably really late to say this, but yeah, I know I meant to stream today. If I don't end up streaming at any point today, or at some point, I'm recording this a day ahead, just to make sure that I have something for you guys. Please forgive me, but I will definitely, I'm constantly looking for ways to make it up for you guys until we get to a better way for things to be run around here. But we'll see very, very soon. I'm very, very grateful for all the change and all the acceptance and all the understanding that's going on. So you guys, thank you. As always, I reveal myself again, but I love you guys. God bless. I can't wait to see you again. And until next time, obviously, it's toodles, guys.